Before we go any further, if you care about serious military history, real survival knowledge, and the uncomfortable truths that kept men alive in impossible conditions, subscribe to the channel right now and leave a comment telling me which war-era survival topic you want covered next. This channel exists for people who want depth, accuracy, and lessons that still matter today. When we talk about trench warfare, especially during World War I and later cold weather campaigns, we often focus on battles, weapons, and strategy. What gets overlooked is sleep, or more accurately, the near impossibility of it. In freezing trenches hovering around 20 degrees Fahrenheit, sleep was not rest. It was a calculated risk between exhaustion and death. Soldiers who slept wrong froze, drowned in mud, or never woke up. Those who survived learned brutal tricks that bent the rules of normal human rest. This guide isn't romantic. It's instructional. These methods were born from desperation, refined by experience, and passed quietly from veteran to recruit. If you study survival, military history, or extreme human endurance, this is knowledge worth understanding. Why trench sleep became a matter of life and death rather than comfort. Cold doesn't just make you uncomfortable. At 20 degrees, it shuts down circulation, slows reaction time, and steals judgment. In trenches, men couldn't stretch out fully, couldn't stay dry, and couldn't afford deep sleep. A sleeping soldier was vulnerable to hypothermia, frostbite, trench collapse, and sudden attack. Sleep had to be controlled, shallow, and tactical. Veterans understood that survival meant staying alive through the night, not waking refreshed in the morning. Modern survivalists can learn from this mindset shift immediately. The goal is not comfort. The goal is controlled endurance. Soldiers learned to sleep sitting upright to prevent heat loss and flooding. One of the first lessons learned in frozen trenches was that lying flat could kill you. Trenches flooded constantly from rain, melted snow, and groundwater. Sleeping upright against the trench wall kept vital organs higher, reduced contact with icy mud, and limited heat loss through the ground. Soldiers often wedged their knees up and leaned forward slightly to keep blood circulating. This position looks miserable, but it reduced exposure. In modern survival situations, the same logic applies when ground insulation is limited. Sitting sleep against a tree, pack or wall can preserve more heat than lying on frozen earth without proper insulation. They used buddy heat because, well, individual warmth was never enough. Men often slept pressed back to back or shoulder to shoulder, not for comfort, but because shared body heat could mean the difference between waking up and freezing. This wasn't about friendship, it was physics. Two bodies generate more heat than one, and less surface area is exposed to the cold air. In some units, rotating sleep shifts ensured no one was left alone too long. For modern survivalists, this translates directly to group survival. Whether you're camping in extreme cold or enduring a power outage, clustering intelligently conserves heat and energy. Clothing was loosened, not tightened, before sleep to keep circulation alive. It seems a bit counterintuitive, but soldiers were taught to loosen boots, belts, and restrictive clothing before resting. Tight gear cut circulation, which increased frostbite risk. Loosening clothing allowed blood to flow, keeping extremities warmer even in freezing air. Boots were often unlaced slightly but never removed, because bare feet could freeze in minutes. Today, this lesson applies to cold weather camping and emergency sheltering. Circulation matters more than layering too tightly. Soldiers slept in short, controlled bursts instead of full cycles. Deep sleep was dangerous in extreme cold. Many soldiers trained themselves to sleep in 20 to 40-minute intervals. Short rest prevented body temperature from dropping too low and allowed frequent movement to restore circulation. Men often set informal wake cues, like a partner nudging them or responding to distant artillery rhythms. In survival scenarios today, controlled micro-sleep can keep you functional when conditions don't allow full rest. This technique is still used in modern military operations. They insulated themselves with anything available, not just blankets. Blankets were scarce and often soaked. Soldiers stuffed newspapers, straw, sandbags, and even empty ration wrappers inside jackets and trousers to trap air. Air, not fabric, is what insulates. This improvisation dramatically reduced heat loss. Modern survival training emphasizes the same principle. Dry leaves, cardboard, plastic bags, or spare clothing layered correctly can outperform a single thick blanket in cold conditions. Boots were kept on, but socks were managed aggressively. Trench foot was a silent killer. Soldiers were taught to sleep with boots on to protect from rats, debris, and sudden evacuation, but socks were changed, dried or rotated whenever possible. Some men slept with spare socks tucked inside their shirt to dry them using body heat. In modern terms, moisture management is survival. Dry feet equal warmth. Wet feet equal injury and infection. They avoided eating heavy meals right before sleep in extreme cold. While calories were essential, heavy meals right before sleep diverted blood to digestion and away from extremities. Soldiers learned to eat smaller portions before rest and heavier meals before movement. This helped maintain circulation during sleep. Survivalists today can apply this by timing calorie intake strategically, rather than assuming more food always equals more warmth. Mental discipline was used to stay semi-alert even while resting. Perhaps the hardest trick to master was mental control. Soldiers trained themselves to rest without fully disconnecting. They listened for sounds, stayed aware of posture, and resisted slipping into deep unconsciousness. This semi-alert rest kept them alive during bombardments and sudden attacks. For modern preparedness, this reinforces the idea that sleep in dangerous environments must always remain conditional. These 9 sleeping tricks were never written in manuals. They were learned the hard way through loss, observation, and brutal experience. They reveal a truth that modern life hides from us. Sleep is not always safe, and survival sometimes demands sacrificing comfort for control. Understanding these methods doesn't just make you a better historian. It makes you more aware of how humans adapt when the margin for error disappears. If this kind of deep, serious analysis matters to you, subscribe to the channel, share this video with fellow history buffs, and comment below with the next survival or wartime topic you want explored. This channel exists to preserve knowledge that kept people alive when failure meant death.